Irresistible leaders, welcome back to the podcast. Hey, listen, you've heard this before. If you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. And I'm excited to introduce you to the community. Some of you may even know already who he is if you've been following us on social media or on Instagram, all that good stuff. But at this point in the Andrus Advisory story, we have added a phenomenal new teammate to help us go further. After over a decade at one of the world's largest companies. We're talking about trillions of dollars, not billions of dollars. After an almost, which is now, I think, just turned 50 years old this year, an absolutely iconic brand that he's been a part of for the last decade. He's taken the leap of faith and joined us here at Andrus Advisory to oversee our RightSeat search and staffing division. And I want to introduce all of my friends at Irresistible Leader to our phenomenal community to welcome Keith Turner Jr. to the podcast.
Appreciate
Keith,
you, bro.
What's up, my man?
What's up, man? I'm glad to be here.
Bro, we're
Super
so
glad.
honored to have you. You know, I think people who don't know, this is a friendship over a decade in the making, actually longer. And we went to college together in Ohio.
Been knowing you for a long time.
Been knowing me for a long time. He's got embarrassing photos. If you DM him on Instagram, he'll show those to you.
I have quite a few.
That's crazy. Equal. So let's not start nothing that won't be finished, okay?
Oh, yeah, right there. Touche.
But no, I've known Keith and his phenomenal family for over a decade. And Keith, I'm so honored that you would see the value in what we're building here, not just in the Irresistible Leader community, but within Andrus Advisory to kind of let this interrupt the story that God is writing in your life. So, man, we're incredibly honored. Welcome to the family.
Yeah,
man.
super thankful, right? Like, you know, you were an answer to a prayer like that I had no idea of, right? Wow. And I think, you know, let me just quickly encourage some people that, you know, God is super intentional about every season of your life, right? And so even when you don't always understand, you know, he's intentional. And so this is a very intentional moment, and I'm super, super thankful to be here and do some great work.
Well, man, listen, you already are off to the races, killing it, pastors, meeting with pastors all across the country and their teams, trying to figure out how to get the right people in the right seat.
Right.
Which we'll talk about a little bit. We'll talk about all the work we've been doing, and I think it's beautiful. But your story, man, is absolute one that only God can write.
Right.
Absolute one that only God can write. After 10 years at Apple, which I think we've said this. We probably said it 5 times.
Right.
Because it's so impressive. Hear me. It's so incredibly impressive to get a front row seat to a business that we preach sermon titles and analogies around. You know what I'm saying? I say all the time that only Apple users go to heaven. It's so totally sacrilegious.
I was saving a lot of people, though. Praise the Lord for salvation, right? Come on over, right?
We don't know what you're doing. We don't quite know what you're doing. Come over.
It's all right. We love him anyhow.
It's okay. It's all right. But I say that to say, not only were you this phenomenal marketplace leader in mind and had exposure to the absolute highest levels of operational excellence within an ecosystem that is culture defining for those of you, not just in America. I mean, we got people watching Irresistible Leader from Nigeria, and South America, and Canada. So, and their Apple devices all over.
Shout out to them, right? You know,
all over them. And so I say that to say, but not only that, right? Now, I think if that was your whole story, it's still impressive,
right?
But to also hear that you are a man of God, that you've walked with God, that you've developed a relationship with God, which has produced fruit in your own life as it relates to being a pastor. So you are a bivocational,
very much so.
Right? And so you're not only leading a local church, a thriving local church, but you're also, up until recently, we're a full-time employee at this gigantic tech firm.
Right.
I'm going to have a conversation today, and most of you clicked on this because you saw ministry in Apple or church in Apple, and you're like, wait, what?
Right.
Those two things don't go in the same sentence.
But they do. But they do.
And so today, I want to have a conversation because I want to get in your brain.
Right.
I want to get in your brain. Like, we're all enamored by the success story that is Apple.
Yeah.
And the team and the products, and most of us are watching right now on an iPhone or an Apple device.
Right.
You know, like we got one in our orbit.
Thank you for keeping my stock high, and all that good stuff, right?
Inadvertently, we appreciate you.
Needed
doing that.
And
so I wanna. There's gotta be, after being there 10 years, some extrapolation that you can help our community apply as it relates to surprising, shocking, unthought of things that apply to church leadership that Apple taught you. Because most people don't go to Apple for church leadership.
Right. And maybe they should.
That's where we're going today?
Really, maybe they should. And let me just preface by saying this. I think that, when you do allow the Lord to actually, guide your steps, right? Like, every season he put you in, like you're going to be able to look back and pull back from, some of those previous seasons. And so, yeah, there's a lot of things that Apple taught me that as I was just watching and learning and examining how they do what they do, I was like, oh my goodness, there's ministry here, here's ministry here, here's a way we could be successful here. And so, I may not be able to give all the keys. Maybe it should be a book or something else.
Hey.
Like maybe so. But anyways,
you heard it here,
but
folks.
there are a few things that I definitely think, could be beneficial. I think one of the first ones, like it's not necessarily surprising, but I do think that it will help ministry and ministry leaders define what success could look like. Like success begins and ends in culture, right?
That's
like
great.
that culture really matters. And Apple did an incredible and does an incredible job of protecting their culture.
Talk more.
So here's what I mean by that. There was a study that was done like some years ago that says that in order to get a job at Apple, right? Well, let me not say in order, but getting a job at Apple is about on the same scale of difficulty of getting into Stanford.
Wow.
So statistics say that to get into Stanford, they choose about 3.5% to 4% of people who apply.
Wow.
Like you can't just get online, go to apple.com and think that because you're good at sales that they're automatically going to hire you. Matter of fact, they turn down really good people to get great people.
So that, wait.
Yeah.
This is all applying to ministry.
Listen, they
turn down
really
good people to
get great people. Right? And I'm not saying they always get it right? Like I've worked with people over the years that was like, okay, maybe a few got through, right? But no, like, and some people I've talked to, and they're like, Keith, like I interviewed so well, and they turned me down. I was like, they're very particular, and I think this is very important for leaders. They didn't just hire for charisma and personality. I like to think I'm a personality.
I like to think he's
I like that. I think that, but they hired for competencies. They hired, like there were some points where I was interviewing for higher positions that they asked me questions I could not answer on the spot. It's like, maybe I'm not as ready as I think that I am, right? And so it's not just charisma. And I think sometimes we super spiritualize in the ministry space. We super spiritualize a gifting. Oh, they can preach really well. They must be a good executive pastor. That's not necessarily meaning just because they can preach well means that they have the skills and the competencies to lead well, right? So Apple is very selective. And I think if we become more selective, we may be able to go a little bit further. But on top of that, it's just different. Like when I first started with Apple, they clapped us in. Yeah. Right? Like you don't just show up like, no, when you walk into orientation, they're clapping for you. It's different. And then when you leave, if you're not fired, when you leave, they clap you out. Wow. So I literally, when I was leaving one of my retail stores, I spent about 5 minutes with people just clapping out. I was giving them all hugs because it's a part of our culture. That's great. So what to many is extra is really good culture. So people would be like walking by as we were clapping people out. They're like, why are they so extra? When really what they could be asking is, why are they so good? Why do people stay there for a long period of time? Right? I think Tim Cook was just recently talking about how turnover is not a big thing in like high executive type of roles with Apple because people want to be there. They want to keep changing the world. So it starts with culture. And I know, again, that may not be surprising, but the way of which they build culture and the way they're super selective really helps with their overall success.
Let me layer on that because I absolutely love that. So after your 10-year career at Apple, you started with this idea of culture, and let me, I'm going to play Apple to ministry translator in this conversation.
Yes.
I think for a lot of leaders, the word culture is a buzzword, right? Because it means a bunch of different things. And has a bunch of different ideas come to your mind.
Absolutely.
Let me give you, irresistible leader. Let me give you some handles to understand when we say culture in our context. We're talking about the beliefs, actions, behaviors, and languages that define belonging.
That's right.
Beliefs, actions,
belonging.
behaviors, and languages that define belonging. In your organization, in your church, in your business, in the place in which God has called you to lead, your job is to protect the belief, actions, languages, and behaviors that define who you are. So one of the biggest best things you just said is if it's extra, it's probably culture.
Yep.
Because it means this is how we do it. It's the only way we do it. We
That's
don't
it.
do it any other way.
No other way.
And so I think one of the keys to being an effective and an irresistible leader is this idea that my culture, the place that I'm leading, is not random. It is not subject to my personality. It's not subject to anyone else's. It's defined, it's written, and it exists in a place where we can duplicate it across Apple. I googled it, 160,000 employees.
Yeah.
How do you get 160,000 people to do anything the same unless you're writing it down and watch this, reinforcing it at every single juncture? Last thing, irresistible leader, you need to know, and Keith has learned this at Apple, culture begins at confrontation.
Absolutely.
It is not culture until you're willing to confront it. And so I'm sure as you went throughout your time at Apple, there were moments in your leadership there where you had to confront people to say, hey, that's not how we do it at Apple. That's not the Apple way. I don't know what the phrase was, but
it's feedback, right?
Feedback. It is a
culture of feedback.
A culture of feedback.
You've got to, listen, if you cannot look at somebody and say, that's not how we do it, or it's impact or behavior in impact. Here's what you did. Here's how it impacted this customer. Here's what you did. Here's how it impacted your coworker. You told this customer this, and that's not what we do. And so now they're expecting things that they shouldn't expect. Behavior and impact. And it's not about feelings. It's about behavior and impact. And it's really beneficial. And I learned that there. Right?
Fighting for the culture. So your first thing that you take away from Apple as it relates to 5 surprising things that Apple taught you about ministry and church is like the culture is absolutely, I think it's Sam Chan who says culture eats strategy for lunch. If it's not Sam Chan, correct me in the chat, in the comments. But culture eats strategy for lunch. It is culture ultimately drives all of belonging within an organization. And I don't think in ministry we focus on culture nearly enough. We focus on things like charisma and personality and style.
For sure.
But at the end of the day, in order to get anything done, the culture has to be incredibly defined.
Absolutely. But here's one that I think people know, but they don't know like the actual level or the magnitude of how important this is, which is that discretion is the secret sauce.
Okay, is this number 2?
This is number 2.
Discretion
is the secret sauce.
We don't talk about discretion in ministry.
So I worked in retail stores. I worked from home as well. Everybody has this notion that if you work for Apple, you know what's going on behind the curtain. Meaning that everybody knows when new products are coming out. We know, like, it is not the case. Believe me, when I tell you, when Apple employees tell you they don't know, they really do not know. Like, the secret sauce is in the ability to work behind the scenes on something, develop it, and be able to keep it a secret. And then the element of surprise gets people to a point where they're like, I want to know more. I want to buy this product now, right? So it's the ability to keep a secret, right? It's the ability to build something without people knowing, working on it, developing it, hear me, failing at it too, in order to get to the point where you need to be. So sometimes I think some of the mistakes that ministry leaders or others make is that they go public with everything. And then when you fail publicly, it looks so bad, right? So there's some things that people will never know Apple tried to work on. They tried it, they developed it, it didn't work, and it never made it out.
Not everything Apple produces is like perfect.
Hello.
What?
Right.
No. What?
You see what I'm saying?
Apple doesn't fail.
Right, so it's like at that point, if you learn how to do some things behind the scenes, get a team to work on some things, develop it, hey, implement it in small stages. Oh, no, that didn't work. It's better to fail behind the curtain sometimes than it is to fail in front of everyone. So I think that's super important. Like, I can only think about like one product where we like put it out there that we were going to be working on it, and then it didn't happen. And many don't even know what it is.
Okay, now we're all interested.
Right, exactly. Something called the AirPower, right? What? AirPower is supposed to be something that, charged multiple devices at once. Apple, we were going to make it. Normally, when we make it, it's normally one of the best, right? And it never came out.
Wow.
But most people don't know about it.
I've never heard of AirPower.
They've never heard about it, right? So yes, it was something that we may not have done well, or let me say they now, because I'm a part of Andrus Advisory now, right? Hello. But yeah, like it's important, right? And that's the discretion, the ability to keep the secret, and then the elements of surprise. is so huge. And I think ministry leaders and churches can learn a whole lot from that for sure.
Yeah, I think playing ministry to Apple Translator, especially, as I get to talk to churches all across the country and I'm talking to their pastors, man, Keith, the number of ideas that are decided on the car ride to church and announced in the pulpit hours after arriving is just absolutely staggering.
Seriously.
And I think I say this to pastors all the time, you only have so many times to get it wrong.
That's it.
Remember, Elijah says he prophesies rain, but then he goes up the mountain, puts his head between his legs and prays, which represents in the story the work it takes to see the hand of God move, right? And then the Bible says, oh, I feel preachy. Suddenly he saw the cloud the size of a man's head after he did the work.
Right.
And I think what happens in ministry is we're awestruck by vision and an idea. And we think, because we're master communicators, is let me go tell the people. And watch this. The Bible gives a very a brick by brick template for how to best accomplish executing vision. Habakkuk 2:2. Write the vision, which requires you to stop thinking long enough to actually take out your pen, take out your notepad on your phone, and write what it is you believe God is saying. If some of us just stopped and wrote, we would stop ourselves from horrible ideas 3 to 4. Like, hey, put that on paper. And when you start to read it, that don't make no sense.
No, it don't.
Or watch this. Write. The Bible says write the vision, and then watch this. Make it plain. Make it plain is not you making it plain. You making it plain for me and my leadership framework is saying submit that vision to 1 or 2 trusted people and try to explain it to them the way you saw it. That doesn't mean explain it to everybody. That does not even mean bring your whole leadership team. That says, hey, your spouse, your associate pastor, your executive pastor, your number 2. Say, hey, here's what I'm thinking. Written down. I'm submitting this to you. I'd like to hear your feedback, thoughts. Poke holes in my argument. Where do you see this failing? Where do you see this winning? Do you think there's something I'm underestimating or overestimating? That's quality leadership. And what ends up happening is because we believe that all inspiration is Holy Spirit, we decide that because it's Holy Spirit, we can skip over the crucial steps to execution. And so what you're learning, what you are taking from Apple and now bringing to hundreds of churches all across the country is this idea like, hey, the speed of vision to execution requires discretion. It requires you sitting with it, wrestling with it, praying over it, fasting over it, getting a multitude of counsel before you present it. And then watch this. The secret to Apple's success is by the time you see it on the world stage, Tim Cook doing the product display.
It's been 4 or 5 years.
Thank you. It has been baked, cooked, thought through, tested, marinated. And so now when people see it, hey, it's going to rain. Oh, man, it's raining. But that rain didn't just happen. He went to the mountain. He put his head between his legs and he prayed.
And even the cloud appearing didn't mean it was raining at that moment.
Bro, where's the... Help us, sir.
Right? So he still had to go and prepare for that rain to come. So in some seasons, it's like you see the clouds, it's great, but you still got work to do before that rain comes. And so, I think about all the products. Think about it's our start, right? So the Macintosh computer, right? Then we develop iPods, and they developed iPhones.
It's okay.
Right?
We still get a discount. Drop discount in the comments right
Do not do that.
He's got a 45%. I'm joking. I'm totally he can't get fired. He works for me.
Right. Exactly right. So iPhones, iPads. I mean, now we got Vision Pros and all these things, right? All of it was carefully thought of. They failed it at certain points. They got it better. They reverse engineered, did all the work to get to where we are now. And so, and there's still a whole lot that they're I'm sure still working on. So it's a lot, but that discretion and that ability to develop it behind the scenes before it gets to the forefront is super important.
I love this conversation, Keith, because you are opening up a can that I think is this is just such good unearthing of wisdom for leaders who are listening in on this conversation. The truth of the matter is when you have an idea, it requires a specific order of operations. I laid out the right division, make it plain. But then I think what maybe you can even touch on how Apple, it's like there is an order into which people are informed of something, because oftentimes, watch this, the way you find out about something is more important than what you find out. And a lot of us, lean in, leader, a lot of us are causing internal frustration and toxicity in our leadership ecosystem because we're telling the wrong people the right information at the wrong time. The right information at the wrong time is wrong information. And so I think one of the keys you're unlocking for a lot of us is this idea of discretion. It just says, hey, Stop firing from the hip. Great leaders don't fire from the hip. We're considered, we're measured, we're thoughtful, and when we execute, we've thought about. The phrase I use is catastrophizing. We thought about all the things that could go wrong. That's how that doesn't mean you don't have faith.
Yeah, no.
That doesn't mean it's just saying, hey,
you're counting the costs.
I love this conversation. Yeah, this is the most fun
You're
conversation.
Counting the costs, bro. Like, yeah, for sure.
You're absolutely
for sure.
Okay, so that's number 2. I'm having a blast.
Number 2, yeah. I think the third is discovery also leads to success, right? So this idea, okay, so you're talking about systematic, right, or systems that kind of flow. One of the things that makes a good, especially a good salesperson or somebody who is needing to pitch something, is the ability to be able to discover and uncover their needs. So what's spoken and unspoken, right? So someone calls in or goes to an Apple store and says, well, I need an iPhone. And a lot of times they'll come in with preconceived notions of what they need.
Wow.
I need the latest and greatest. I need an iPhone 17 Pro Max. All right, give it to me. And a lot of times we're taught to be able to slow down, to be able to discover, hey, why do you need that? Asking that why question that too many people are uncomfortable in asking, but it's so necessary because it'll unlock what they actually need. Like, hey, tell me why. Why do you actually need that? What is it that you're actually doing with this product? And then that allows us to uncover solutions for them. And it allows us to give, hey, you need this, and this. So the discovery or what Apple would call probing, where you're literally digging in to discover more about the person and then matching the person to a service or matching the person to a solution is really, incredible. So I think one of the things that we have to do is we got to start asking more why questions to find right fits, right? But to also ask why about, like, why are we doing what we're doing right now?
Come on.
Right?
Come on.
And so I've been able to help people realize like mistakes that they made purchasing before, right? How to correct it, all because I asked a few questions. Asking 1 or 2 more questions could give you some of the solutions that you need.
Jesus.
Right? So that would be, the third, like that the art of discovery. The art of discovery.
I think when it comes to leadership, man, you're unlocking so many. This is so good. Keith, you are taking us to school today. I'm so grateful you're here.
Listen, this is Apple, right?
No, I'm giving this to Keith. I don't know who Apple is. The art of asking questions is one of the most underrated leadership tactics that we teach in modern leadership. I say on the Irresistible Leader, we're navigating one of the biggest changes in leadership in the last 50 years. And when I say that, what I mean is, the leadership of old was very authoritative. It was certain. It was definitive. It was, hey, we're doing this.
Right.
Hey, this is how it'll happen. This is how I want it to look. The new version of leadership that I call an irresistible version of leadership is incredibly more concerned with understanding than declaring, right? And you unlocked it masterfully for us. It is the gold is in the why. Why are we doing this? What is this? Watch this. Leader, listen in. There's a difference between asking questions and having a questioning spirit. Asking questions is unearthing knowledge and wisdom. A questioning spirit is asking questions to change the mind of the person of whom you're interrogating. We like to be question askers, not lead with a questioning spirit. Now, why am I saying that? Is because I think a lot of us, this is the highest we've ever led. This is the most unique environment we've ever led. No one, watch this. Listening to my voice right now, you've never led in this day ever. Like this is a brand new day. This is a brand new day.
We got AI. We got all of that.
I'm talking about on the brass tacks of the calendar, but I'm also meaning in the age in which we live.
Yes.
Like, no one. I don't care how long you've been leading. From you, Sheldon. I'm 75 years old, listening to your podcast. To Sheldon, I'm 22, and I'm an aspiring leader.
Right.
No, you've never led. So stop being so certain of everything. Ask more questions. The best leaders ask the best questions. And in the question asking, you're unearthing the wisdom. There's a Bible verse. I'm going to jack it up right now. Here I go. It says a man's heart is many mysteries or many layers and wisdom and questions draw out that. And a lot of us, especially in our mentoring relationships, in our pastoring relationships, those who we submit ourselves to. I know some of you don't work in a ministry context or a church leadership context, but those of you who do, like, we're not spending enough time asking our leaders why. Hey, I don't want to change the idea. Where did you get that from?
Yeah, right.
What are you hoping that accomplishes?
Right.
What do you see in my life that that I need to change?
Yep.
And when you ask why, watch this, you are opening up the door of pastoring.
Yeah.
Because now, just like Apple, in the pursuit of your outcome of this product, I can help navigate you towards what's the best thing for you in this season. You don't know what you don't know until you know it.
There it is.
But why are we so comfortable having an Apple genius direct us? I'm thinking Apple genius.
Well, yeah, there's people with the Genius Bar, right?
Why are we so comfortable having the Genius Bar guy tell us what we need best, but when we don't open up ourselves to pastoral relationships, hey, what is it about what I'm trying to accomplish that I'm not going to be able to do if I stay here? What product or tool or knowledge or training or what in my personality needs reflected or changed or altered in order for me to accomplish the will and call of God on my life? To be this leader that I'm trying to be. And a lot of us just, Keith, frankly, we're not asking the question why.
Well, we don't even ask God enough why questions.
Oh, because we believe that God can't handle our questions.
Yes, but he wants us to. He desires that we
need to read the book of Job.
Right? Like asking God questions will literally free us, and he will speak to those questions too. Give us correction, give us, the revelations that we need. And sometimes we got to ask, right? So ask God, ask our leaders. The why question is super critical. And it's how Apple has been able to teach people not just how to have good products, but how they can benefit from having the right products, right? So yeah. And then Apple obsesses over details.
Okay, so this is number 4.
Number four. Obsesses over details, right? Like, people don't realize all the thought that goes behind even small screws being put into iPhones, or how we literally have a machine that takes apart a phone, recycles all the parts responsibly. Every small detail that you don't even think of, Apple has thought of. They think about the way products are positioned. They think everything is detail oriented. And I think that there has to be leaders, executive leaders, somebody who obsesses over the details, the numbers. So Apple calls, some of their the ways that they serve customers in store, the Apple steps of service, right? So there's this system that people, go through, right? So it talks about the way that we approach customers, the way that they probe or discover about, hear this, there's no presentation of a solution without there being a probe and approach, right?
Wow.
Right? So they don't present like, hey, you need this product until they actually got to know the customer. And so sometimes I think, let me make sure I say this right. So there shouldn't necessarily be a presentation of Jesus without getting to know who people are first.
Yo,
right?
I like this kind of talk.
So I'm actually getting to know this person and getting them to see here's how Jesus can impact you, and you don't know anything about them.
Yeah.
Right? So there's an approach, there's a probe, there's a presentation, there's listening. What are you hearing? What's not being said? And then an ending. So Apple never wants a customer to end with a purchase. They want to continue this cycle of them returning back. They offer classes for them to learn more about their products, right? They offer services and subscriptions and all these things that people can continue having a good relationship with this product, with this brand. How can we as leaders take that approach and make sure it doesn't end on Sundays? Sundays are very, very critical, but there's a continued, ongoing relationship that's built. Because that's what it's about, right? There's hardware and then there's software. You got to have both,
That's
right? Got to have a marrying of both of those in order for there to be a great experience with the product. So I think that's another thing that they obsess over every detail. You would be shocked to learn how much thought goes beyond the type of material that's used in the tables inside of an Apple store. I mean, we're talking about thousands of dollars spent on just tables alone. They obsess over details. I think there needs to be more of that within the ministry space as well.
I cannot agree more. I think when I study, which every leader should do, when I study great leaders, right? When I study great leaders, and I don't know your context or who you study, but think about the person right now. Just if you can just, as you're listening to us talk, you're like, man, I look up to that person for what they've accomplished, what they've designed, what they've created, the lifestyle they lead, the money they've made.
Right.
None of those things are bad, right? There is an unusual obsession that you can find in their life, be it around their work product, a hobby that they have. They're unusually committed to a certain discipline. And to be honest, Keith, this is the quiet part that we don't want to have out loud. Is we want success, and the deep, foundational, unmovable route to success is mundane obsession.
Yes.
And everybody wants to do something else. Everybody wants to be an influencer on the internet.
They want that blue check mark, right?
Yeah, well, now you can pay for it. So
right, exactly.
But no one wants to be consistent every day. Obsession is not mastery.
No.
And that's where we get it wrong. It's like, I want to be obsessed, but a mastery is so far away. Obsession leads to mastery.
Yes.
You start with what you have today. Some of you are over analyzing and over complicating simple steps that you should be taking to do the thing God has called you to do. And in that, if you continue compounding every day, you'll look back and see success. But from this side, on this side, the starting point of success looks like mundane every day. And I think that's what you're saying about Apple. It is, hey, let's obsess over the screw. Let's obsess over the wood. But now you look at Apple, you're like, whoa, $1 trillion company, 160,000 employees. You're like, that's obsessive. I mean, that's insane. Man, they're so obsessed. It's like, no. They didn't start off that way. Like it starts with small, significant obsessions around specific things.
Yeah, I think Craig Groeschel said it best in I believe it's his book, Divine Direction, where he says that a lot of the habits that he, built and that were successful started with really small things. Like he said that in his book, he talked about how he flossed every single day and how doing that one small thing led to other things that he just continued to do and then, built to what he built. So I think that's exactly what Apple did. They obsessed over small details and continued to get it better, bring in super smart people. And that's one thing people should get for free. You should always have people in the room who are probably smarter than you in some area to help you continue to get better, right? But I think the last thing I would say is that Apple taught me, and it's something that I think I will live by, and I think it should not be something that people apologize for, is that good enough isn't.
Woo.
Good enough is not. We should not feel bad about wanting to be great in the ministry space, right? Like we shouldn't be okay. Like Apple's not okay with just a good product. They want it to be great. And so that's why they take the time to research and to build and develop and do everything behind the scenes, as we were just talking about, because good enough isn't, right? We talked about it, they preached it, and I think it's something that we all have to there's nothing wrong with, like you said, with having a high expectation or a godly ambition of wanting to be great. Like everything I do for my church, I want it to be great. I want to learn, fail, of course, but I want it to be great because good enough isn't. And I think that sometimes that's hard conversations because some people are okay with good enough.
Some people are deeply okay with good enough.
Yeah. It's like, oh, that graphic is good enough.
Yeah.
Well, no, it could be better.
Yeah.
Right? Like, oh, well, that we can just show up at, 15, 20 minutes late and we'll be okay. We'll be able to flow. Like, no, good enough isn't. And I think the more people raise the standard of, no, this can be done in excellence, the better it will be, for sure.
And, again, here I go translating for Apple one final time. I think when I talk to leaders and I'm trying to help them understand this good enough isn't ideology, I say, everyone, you need to lead with excellence. And excellence is the baseline of leadership. And what is excellence? Excellence is doing the best with what you have.
What you got,
and exceeding expectations. So the idea is, your version of excellence today will not be your version of excellence in 5 years.
Bingo, there it is.
But if it's not excellent today, you'll never be the excellence that you desire in 5 years.
That's
it. So hear me, leader. Be extra when it comes to being excellent.
Extra.
people see with their eyes,
Yep.
right? You don't go to restaurants that aren't excellent. You don't go to fitness clubs that aren't excellent.
Right.
You don't go to daycare. You don't
2-star
take your kids
restaurants,
to-
right?
Yeah,
I'm
you
probably
don't-
not going
You're
there.
not like excited to go to a 2-star restaurant.
No.
So why would you bring that ideology into the kingdom, right? The kingdom is the Queen Sheba. It's like it should produce reaction
Yeah.
when interacted with,
That's
right?
good.
And I think you layered out so many things that you encountered at Apple, but it's a great way to put the bow on this conversation, and that is God's kingdom deserves that level of obsession, that level of
Yes.
excellence, that level of care. And listen, Keith, I get roasted on the internet all the time about, it doesn't take all that. We just need to, churches just worship. And yes, it is absolutely worship, but
Yeah.
it absolutely takes all of that.
Yes.
Don't tell me the same God who lays out the blueprint to the tabernacle in the
talk
Old
to us.
Testament is the same God who in 2026 says it's okay to rehearse on Sunday mornings, come in late, not be prepared, not have a follow-up system for your first-time visitor,
Hello.
not have an order of service for your church, watch this, plan a 60-minute service and then go 2 hours as if that's totally normal and acceptable, like having no discipline around the structure of the liturgy.
Right.
Just for all my theologians lead in, I know both languages.
Right.
I say that to say it is the desire of great men and women of God who are trying to be irresistible leaders to lead with a level of excellence that is contagious.
Right.
And don't stop apologizing.
Right.
And good enough isn't.
And we know that the Holy Spirit is the wild card in Uno, right?
Absolutely.
Like
we'll make you draw for
or hello.
and then he can stack them.
He can do whatever, right? Cool. But like you said, building systems and doing all those things is still a necessary component.
100%.
We still have to be good stewards of what God has blessed us with. And I'm praying that we'll be able to help leaders and churches do that.
Man, listen, you teed me up for that segue because I think one of the things I want to end on this conversation is like it's not lost on me that God is absolutely expanding our footprint in our territory as it relates to what we're doing through the company and Andrus Advisory. Now that you're on board, like it's not normal to get a 10-year Apple vet and leave Apple and stock options and all this stuff. They say, hey, Sheldon, I want to partner with you in what the work we're doing at Andrus Advisory to help build the kingdom of God with my background, my knowledge, my relationships. What is it that made you make that jump from, there's irresistible leaders listening who may be in the corporate space and say, yo, I want to be effective in ministry or take my ministry effectiveness to the next level. What made you, like, in real sense, like not the spiritual deep ocean stuff, but like, hey, okay, I'm going to go from Apple to this consulting, advising space within ministry. How did you count those costs?
Right. Well, I mean, I think for me, first of all, like I noticed a present agitation. And normally when there's an agitation, it could be something for you to lean into, right? The Holy Spirit could be agitating you or could be wanting you to open your eyes, right? When you're experiencing some agitation, because there may be a space for a change. And it made me really reflect on like what I was doing, where I was. And I realized like it was great. It was a great season. It was God that led me into that season, but it was also a place of comfort, security, but also a bit of settling, right? Like I couldn't move forward anymore in the space that I was in, at least. Like I would have had to move, which I wasn't going to do at the point in time. But I really was at a place where I had to say, all right, God, like what is it that you're leading me to? And then in comes you, right? So I had to be at a point where I was open to a shift, even when it didn't look like the shift that I would normally go after.
Can you just pause there?
Right.
I don't know. You don't know this, but I didn't mean to do this. I totally teed you up. Everyone who just heard that response, if you're watching this on YouTube right now, rewind it, listen to it one more time. Because what Keith just laid out is how to transition in ministry.
Yeah.
And from the marketplace into ministry.
Yep.
And I think those of you who are listening to this conversation and you're feeling everything Keith just laid out, hey, God led me to this season. I loved this season. This season was beneficial.
Absolutely.
It blessed me. It challenged me. It grew me. But there's a bit of an agitation, and that agitation is not unholy.
Right. It's not unholy.
It is not unholy.
Yep.
God may be identifying something in you. He may be your growth season. You're now, it's like a plant. You've reached the capacity of this pot.
Right.
And so that now feels restricted. What used to feel like expansive and space to grow now feels like a restriction. God is trying to show you, hey, I'm trying to plant you in the next thing.
Yeah.
And when you feel that, it is not you're supposed to pause and pray for God to reveal.
Yes.
What most of us do is we start submitting our application.
Right.
We start submitting.
Let me
we start
just go.
doing great stuff.
Right.
Hey, pause. God will send you opportunity.
Hello.
He might be sending you this podcast right now.
He may be.
I'm not being super spiritual. I'm saying he may have interrupted your day or your time with this podcast to say, hey, maybe in this season of ministry or in marketplace, you want to explore what else is out there as it relates to, hey, I'm not gonna mishandle the season. I'm not gonna leave unwell, but I am interested to see what there is out there. God, if you can show me what is out there, I'm interested in listening. You should click on the link in the bio right now. If you're a candidate, you're looking for you're not searching, but you're searching. You're open, but you're not. You're open, but you're not out there alone. You know what I'm saying? You haven't left your corporate thing, but you want a way to identify and explore other opportunities. We have churches that we've partnered with all over the country who are looking for competent people who have their chemistry and who have great character. And like Keith, you might have a phenomenal career in the marketplace. And you're saying, Lord, is there a ministry opportunity for me? Maybe it's not my current church that I'm serving at. They don't have the budget, or they don't have the role, or maybe it's not in the city I'm living in. I'm willing to. I'm open. There's so many options for you. And I would say to you, this might be, after hearing Keith's story of navigating this season of transitioning from Apple into Andrus Advisory, you might see parallel in your life and in your story, and you want to know how that works. I would encourage you, start a conversation with our RightSeat team. There may be an opportunity for you that we can pair you with a phenomenal ministry looking to grow and advance the kingdom of God, and they've been looking for you. So I didn't mean to do that. That was not why I teed that question. But when I'm listening to you talk, I'm like, that's where I believe most of our candidates who are working for are. We're not, hear me, because we only work, let me just say this out loud arrogantly, we only work with the top like 10% of candidates. We're not a mass, this is not Indeed, LinkedIn. We work with highly specialized, highly talented, tenure type Apple vets who are looking to make an impact in ministry. And I say that to say, if that's you and you want to have that conversation, if you're like, hey, if you left your last joint real bad and you couldn't be rehired and you burned the earth, don't call, don't text us. I know this sounds like really aggressive, but like that's not the type of people we work with.
No, leaving well matters. Yeah,
leaving well matters. The best candidates. It's kind of like banking. The best candidates are the ones not looking for a job. Keith
I was not looking.
He wasn't looking, but he was open.
I was praying, right?
But hear me, when I left corporate space into ministry space, I wasn't looking. I was making great money. I loved my job. Now, was there another level of purpose and fulfillment and calling I want to have? Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
But I say all the time, we know we have a great candidate when they're like, no, I love this. And it's like, oh man, okay, I could see myself loving that more. Not the person who's left the last job, who's left the last 3 jobs every 6 months and is now looking for the next thing. Nah, Doc, you got to settle some things in your heart, your calling, and your emotion therapy. Listen, and hear me. If you're interested in these conversations, even as an irresistible leader, you should know that's how we talk here. Like, hey, your next step is not a job; it is therapy.
No, that's real.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
like
real.
Before we add pressure to you, you might want to do 3 months of intensive emotional EQ development before you step into a significant ministry role.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I see it as like a lot of us are Elishas that are plowing in the field, like 1 Kings 19, and God sends an Elijah to literally catapult him into the next place, right? And I feel like that's where a lot of us are. Like we're in the field, we're plowing, we're working, our jobs and all those type of things. But what happens when Elijah taps you on the shoulder and is like, hey, it's time for something else, right? So that's where I was at, and I think that's where some others may be too.
Yeah. Now, the second part of this conversation is if you are leading an organization and you're like, yo, I need some Keiths on my team. Like, Sheldon, how are y'all getting people from Apple to come to work? Now, listen, how does that work? Because are you paying Apple salaries? Well, stand by. Keith, think about that later. I say that to say, that's the second part of what we do within RightSeat in the searching and staffing space, is that is we partner with organizations. And I think what we are bringing to the conversation with your leadership and your thought leadership here is we're reimagining what this looks like, right? LinkedIn, Indeed, your church's website is not producing the candidates you want. We know it.
We know that.
We noticed that your job descriptions have been posted for the last 4 or 5 months, and it shouldn't take that long to find the right person if that right person was looking for you. And so one of the things that the RightSeat difference is centered on is making sure that first, that the organization is really clear about who they're hiring, what they're hiring, and what they want to bring that person in for. And then the second thing that I think is incredibly crucial in that process is that we work, after finding that candidate, we work alongside you through the interview process, the salary negotiation process, making sure that they're clear, and when their yes is yes, it's a solid yes. But here's the difference. for the 12 months after you bring that person on, we will walk with that person every single month
Absolutely.
through coaching and consulting you to ensure that that role remains what we hired them for, and that we architect their workflow and their processes and the way they're thinking to ensure success. And because we're so confident, and when we find the right person for the right seat, we'll guarantee that seat for 12 months.
Where do they do that at?
They don't do
Except
that
here.
They don't. They only do that here.
That's good.
And so we'll maintain that relationship for the next 12 months to ensure that that person wins. And if they don't, we'll help you find the next one. We'll replace them. At no additional cost. That's how sure we are that when we find the right person for the right seat, we'll guarantee it for 12 months. And that's an easy ask. That's an easy ask for us. Keith, man, welcome to the company.
Let's go. Andrus Advisory, baby. Let's go.
Listen, we're in. Now, Keith still has an Apple discount up until, no, I'm joking. He does not have an Apple discount anymore. We bought all the Apple products. We don't need any more.
Oh, my goodness.
But Keith, I'm so happy you're on the team, man. I'm looking forward to the impact you're going to make across churches all across the country, across the globe, helping people get in the right seat so that churches can get clear to grow faster. Welcome to the family, man.
Let's do it, bro.